Today we will learn what is GitHub. For that one, go to google.com and search for GitHub. The top of the result is github.com. Let's open it. Because I already have an account on github.com and I'm currently logged in, so I'm directly navigated to the dashboard. This is how it looks like, and if you will go to your profile, so this will be the default view. Although I have added some extra widgets, this is how it's currently look like. So why you need GitHub account? So GitHub is a web-based platform, and this is basically a version control system which is used for collaborative software development. When it was created, it was found back in 2008 if I'm not wrong, and till then it's available for the users. Although the support for unlimited private repositories was included, I think back in 2020, and it was acquired by Microsoft in 2018. So this is a Microsoft product from 2018 onwards, and in 2021 it support Copilot, a very powerful AI code completion tool. So this is all we can get freely because most of those services are available free for developers to develop their products, projects, and work with any software development team collaboratively. Today we'll see how we can create a repository in GitHub and what is the actual use of GitHub. I will go to the repositories, and here you can see a new link is available. Let's click on this one, and we need to provide a name. For name one, I will name it GitHub Learning or GitHub tutorials, all learnings for GitHub tutorials, and I will make it public. We need a readme file. Let's include this one, and there is a choice to include .ignore file, and this is required when we are using a particular development framework because there are set of files which we need to ignore from that repo, like executables, temporary files, the compiled files, DLLs, and things like that. So currently, let's include none license. We can provide multiple licenses. I would prefer to go with MIT license. For the licensing details, I will create a separate video. What are the purposes of different licenses listed here? But let's go with MIT license and hit create. So now repository has been created. Now how to use it, because this is on the web. I am as a developer or you are as a developer would be working on your machine. For that one, different clients are available, but I would prefer to go with GitHub Desktop, its own desktop application which I already have installed. So I will be opening GitHub Desktop. So the second step would be to install GitHub desktop application. You can find it from github.com and download and install it for your. And the next thing would be to the third step would be to clone that repository on your local machine. For that one, you need to go to this drop down here alongside with code, and there are multiple choices. You should for GitHub desktop, I would prefer to go for HTTPS, the first option. Let me copy this one from here, and we can simply clone file, clone repository from URL, and let's put URL here. And let's choose the appropriate location for that one. Do I have Git related folder? Yes, I have a repository as well. So let's ignore this one for now, and let's create another one, tutorials, and let's clone it. Now this repository is cloned, so that was the third step. Next, you will be start developing something, and if you go to that particular location, you can see there is nothing in that folder except .git license and readme file. .git folder is normally hidden because I have selected view option to show hidden item. That's why I can see it. And other two files are license and readme. Remember, we have selected MIT license, so that license file is included. What is in that? You can read it, and The README file is basically the introduction file for the project, the documentation. We can maintain that in that readme.md file. And the purpose of that is, let's say if I add some documentation here. So the main purpose of that readme.md file is the documentation of that repository or project. This is first documentation line. So let me save this one, and if you now open the GitHub desktop, you can see one file has been changed, and that was the change that has been made. So let's commit that one. As soon as I commit, I need to next click on the push origin. So commit is something else. With commit, we stage the changes, and with the push, we actually pushing all those staged changes to the remote origin. In our case, our web application, that is github.com. Okay, let's push those changes, and those are done. Let's go back to repository and now refresh. So we can see that line has been added. This is first documentation line. So the README file looks like this in the GitHub repositories. At every level, let's say if there are multiple folders in that repository and you open that folder, if there is a readme.md file, it will start displaying the contents of that file under the files hierarchy like this. So that was the third thing. We already cloned and pushed first change onto the repo. Now the main thing, we have created a repository and we pull those changes into the desktop or development machine, and we have made first change and we push that one to the remote origin. So how we do development in teams when we are working as a team on a product or a project. So for that one, we always create a new branch. What is a branch? So for every new change or every change request, we create a separate branch. So what would be the branch naming strategy? That is a different topic. For now, let's say we want to develop or we want to add a feature in that repository, and that is assignment for a user one, that is, let's say, me. So what I will do, will create a new branch. We can create from here on the web portal, or we can create from our desktop client as well. So let's say I am a developer and I am assigned a task, and what I will do next, I will go to that branch menu here. I will click this one, and there's an option coming new branch. So I will create a new branch and I will say, let's say my name is Usman and my feature of today is HTML page. So I will be creating a HTML page today. So that is my work for today. I am creating a separate branch. Now all of my development changes are isolated under that branch. So no other developer will get affected from this one. And that is a standard way to work in teams on a collaborative projects. Branch has been created. Let's add a file. Now for that, let's say we are using VS Code for that purpose, for that development. So what is VS Code? VS Code is a free IDE, lightweight IDE by Microsoft. You can install it from internet very easily. To open that, I will enter CMD in the address bar, and now I can open Visual Studio Code by writing code space dot and hit enter. Visual Studio Code will be opened in the current working directory. So we have now that open. Good. Now I am working on my feature, which is an HTML page. So what I am doing, index.html, I have added that here, and I am doing a basic web page was HTML page, and then would be body, and inside body let's add a paragraph. This is first HTML page. Let's close the HTML tag here and save it. So I have completed that feature. Let's say that was the task, and the fifth step would be to commit my change, to commit my development work into my development branch. So branch is already selected. Previously we have created, so file change is detected. HTML page is created. It's very important to add a meaningful message here. Normally we use to create tasks and each task has a number. What I mean by that is we use normally other softwares to track the changes, the requirement changes. So let's assume we are using Jira or Azure DevOps. So the task number was, let's say, ABC dash 01. This will be very helpful when you will be working in teams to track those changes, when you will be working on pull request reviews, planning releases, what changes should be in the particular release. You can track all those through that number very easily. So let's commit my change into this branch. Just add it now and let's go back to the portal and refresh. So my change is not appearing in the default branch. So main is the default, the main branch of your repository, right? This is how the work is managed on GitHub. If you now click on this drop down, you can see my branch is also coming here. Right, so that is the beauty of GitHub. And you can see compare and pull request option is start appearing. So as soon as any developer completed its work in its branch, next step would be to create the pull request. Let's hit that one. Pull request will be created. Now you add the detailed description, what change you have made, why you have made that change, anything that will help other developers to set up that change or test that change into their machines. So that pull request is created. Now that is the opportunity for whole team to participate and review those changes, and this is how we improve each other's code. Let's say I have created that pull request. Now ideally I should not be merge it directly, or I should not be approve it. Other team members, the senior team members, should approve and merge, and we can apply that policy very easily. We will cover that part later in this series, but for now we have created the pull request and we are waiting for other developers to review my change. Let's say now I am the other developer. I am, let's assume, Salman, and I, as soon as I have opened the pull request tab, I can see there's a pull request for review. I can see the change. And how I can see the change, you can go to the commits. You can see who have made that change, when, and go to the file changed. So as soon as I jumped in here, now I can see the actual code changes here inside file change tab. So I can see it looks fine. So by looks of it, it's fine for me and I can approve it. So what I will do, I can either write a comment on that one to further update it. If there are any issues, I will mention all those issues here and submit my review. Otherwise, what I can do, I can simply approve that change directly. So let's go back here and I can see that merge pull request option, and in the drop down there are other options as well. We will cover those later, but for the simplicity, next step would be to merge that pull request into the main branch, right? So that it get available for the other team members to build on top of that feature. We can see there are other options as well. Close the pull request and or added the comment. So let's add a comment. Looks good. I can comment it. As I said earlier, we can add the rules, so we will cover that later. And we can see that there is a message appearing, this branch has no conflicts with base branch. So this is interesting as well and a very common scenario. We will cover that in a later, in a separate video as well, that when and how those conflicts get created and how to resolve those conflicts. So I have added a comment and now I can approve and confirm the merge as well. And don't forget, I am Usman, the other team member, right? At the moment, which is who is approving and merging that pull request. So that is merged, gone, and now if I go to the code section, we can see that in the main branch we have that new file as well. That is now part of the main branch now. So this is the first step when you are starting a development. You can Let me revise all those parts in that step. First part was to create your repository. Second was to clone that one into your local machine, and for that one you need to install any client, and I would prefer GitHub Desktop is the best to start with. Third thing was to open that project, the repository, into some editor or IDE, and I used Visual Studio Code, which is free as well. You can install it from github.com or just search on Google to get the latest Visual Studio Code. I will add that link in the description as well, or you can find in Google by yourself as well. Next step was to add a new branch to start your work. So my task was to create an HTML page. So I created a separate branch for that. I added that file and committed that file. By committing, that file will not be available to that github.com website directly. We need to push those changes as well. That is a safety check so that we can't push unnecessary file mistakenly onto the remote origin. So once changes are staged, reviewed, we can push those changes to the remote branch in a single go. The next step was to create the pull request, and that was the end of the feature development lifecycle. You have created a feature, developed a feature, and created its pull request for other team members to review your work, pass comments if they find any issues. And this is a process where different pair of eyes can see our work differently, and different brains work together to make a product successful. So once changes are reviewed and approved, any other team member can merge your change into the main branch, and as soon as the changes are merged will be available into the main branch. So that was the fastest way to go through all those steps and complete a development work. Normally every step takes some time, so more or less these steps will be the same. What are the branching strategies? Who can merge the PRs? Those are different topics. We can cover those in our later videos. But today we have set a pace for a project to be developed with GitHub. I hope that video will be helpful in case of any questions or queries to ask me in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do subscribe so that we can spread that knowledge to the wider audience. And also hit that bell icon so that you can get notified as soon as there is a new video available on this channel. So that was all for now. Keep coding with the smart code.